Hello YouTube and welcome back to another episode of the Occasional Farm Boy. Today we have a Cave VAC radiator, and what happened was that all the solder joints broke off of this radiator, and it had pretty rotten out on the bottom here. So I have the task of soldering everything back together. So before I even got started, I first had to figure out how to get solder to connect two metals together. This is brass and this is tin or some kind of steel. I think it's just steel, regular steel, because there's rust on it and everything. So it's just steel and brass together. So initially they did have solder there before, so there has to be a way of getting the solder to rebond the brass to the steel. So I set about trying different ways. I read that borax worked, so I tried a test plot with borax and this solder iron, which is acid core solder. So acid core solder, that didn't work. I tried using that just straight up soldering, clean up the surface, straight up soldering. That didn't work. I tried using the flux core, what's it called, grease stuff. I don't even know what it's called. I just got soldering paste, metal soldering paste. So we had 1 tin of that, so I used that as my paste. I put it on, still didn't work. Then I did it on both sides, both surfaces, and that seemed to work the best. So I'm just going to show you how I do it. So first, I just used the hot iron or the torch to burn off all the existing solder that was on the old surface. So I used a wire brush, cleaned up the surface, lit it up with the torch, melted all the solder, and then once I had all the solder melted off, I just used a towel, wiped it off with the towel. The towel just brushes all the liquid solder off. Then I brushed it again, the surface, and I did the backside. So the backside of this, did the same thing. Brush it, heat it up, remove the solder with a cloth, and then brush it again. And then I smeared on this grease stuff. And now I should be ready to just heat it up, dribble tons of solder down there, and it should stick. So I'll set you guys up, and hopefully you guys can see. Alright, so I got my torch ready. I'm just going to heat up the surface, heat up the whole surface. Just remember there is a existing bead of solder all along the top of the radiator lid. So we don't want to be heating up necessarily this joint, but more so this, and the heat will transfer onto this part here. So with that, we'll just start heating things up. This metal is only like 1/16, 1/32 of thickness. So it shouldn't take super long. And it's sinking right in now. Alright, so as you can see, I put quite a bit of solder into that joint there. So we'll just let it seep itself away, dry up, and then we'll see if we can't clean it up. Alright, so I'll have to do the other side now. Just going to flip it around. Alright, so as you can see, it filled in, and I was just dragging it along, just pushing it right in, and all the solder's just like falling down into the cracks there. So, if you ever need to solder any tin or anything like that, this technique works really good. I wish I would have known about this earlier. I could have soldered together my fuel tank, which I had trouble with, so I just used JB Weld. But this here is a whole lot more simpler, and it's so quick. It's like rapid ready. Don't have to wait too long. So I'll just show you what I did to the bottom side. This here is pretty hot right now. What I did to the bottom here was these brackets here were all rotted out. So I did the same thing, just clamped them like this. Had the flux, whatever you call it, that well, where's the lid? Yeah, soldering paste. Just rub that on both sides, clamp them together, heated it up nice and hot, and just ran that wire, pushed it in, ran it, pushed it in, ran it again, pushed it in, and it worked just fine. And this is solid. I had to weld on a new bracket at the bottom here so I could mount my radiator onto the frame of the tractor. And now we should be good to go. I just have to do one more joint here. So you can see I cleaned up the surface on this side, and now I just got to put in that solder paste. So I'm just gonna
spread it all over, apply it to the surface and to the top surface as well. Alright, now I can push these two surfaces together. Maybe I'll need to find a socket so I can push that up. There we go. Slide a washer in there. Now I can just heat the surface up and then apply the solder. And pretty much, wherever you have that soldering paste, that's where the solder will run. If it's not on that surface, it's not going to stick. So wherever you want to have solder, you put that paste, and then it immediately puts it right there for you. But for the time being, you can at least take off this ratchet strap. Don't need it anymore. Take off this clamp. Alright. So, I just soldered this joint, right? So, well, either it's going to break or it's not going to break. So I might as well apply pressure to it. And it looks like it's solid. Can't break it. And I know this joint here is good. I pried it with a screwdriver of all things. So is this gonna be, yeah, this is cooled down. See if this stuck. Oof, that's a little hot still. Just push down on it with a towel. And that solder's not breaking, that solder joint. I'll just clean up all the dirt on there. You can see what that looks like. Alright, then we have this upper joint we can test. Just to double check. And looks good too. See if I can break it or not. It's still hot. But it's on there solid enough that I'm convinced I won't need to worry about it again. So, I think I just got to clean up all this black stuff. I think that's some kind of acid, which you don't want sitting on top of your solder. Otherwise it weakens it. So I'll just have to clean the black stuff off and then throw it back into the tractor. Anyways, thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it'll help you sometime down the road. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.